Thanks for staying with us. So, you know, we always monitor social media to see stories that people post, talk about, that has enough talkability. And one of the videos that got our attention was one where a lady who had lost her husband was seen complaining bitterly about how her late husband's dry cleaner insisted that he was going to collect the money for the services rendered, even after knowing that his client, her husband, was late. Now, this stirred up conversations from different parts of the country. Some had the thought that it was insensitive of somebody to come forward to ask for a debt by somebody who's late. Others says it is just the right thing to do. You know, why would you want to hold on to a debt? You know, the earlier the better. And there's various angles to this, but what are your own thoughts? Let's talk about it, because this things happen in families, in homes where widows or widowers are forced to pay a debt owed by their late spouse to different people. You can join the conversation on 081 0764 1679 090 241 63440. You can also tweet to us at TVC Connect. Please hashtag YourViewTVC so we can read your tweet. I know that there was a movie I had watched years ago. I'm not sure the name of the movie now, but a woman who was mourning her husband, you know, and then while she was really sad, the family was around her, supporting her, and then I think somebody from the bank or somebody came into the house to say, her husband is in debt. I think that so the house they're living in was going to be taken by the bank, the cars, everything, and suddenly she dried her tears. But the person I'm here crying over actually was a wicked person to put us in this kind of debt. So immediately she was upset, and at that moment she realized that okay, she was now left in penury because this man who she has loved put her in that situation. So now some will argue that in that movie that was it the right time for the bank to come forward? I mean, she was still mourning. At least you have given her time, because that was the issue. Why didn't you give her some time to adjust herself before you bring that kind of? But the bank said, listen, the money, it was time for us to take the money. We didn't know the man had died, but it was important. So we see things in different ways. How do you see it? Do you think it was insensitive for somebody who is being owed to ask for debt? Or is there a time frame? Is there a time when it's appropriate to make this kind of request? That's the conversation. Who would like to start? Talk about?
Okay, so from the story, the example you gave, and the story itself that we're talking about, I think that if the difference between both is that for the company, the bank, it comes as, it's not an individual. So there is a corporate entity. Though the person who delivers that message will still get that funny look like, not the right time. But when it is a personal conversation between the laundromat or the person you've had a relationship with, this person is a laundry person for many years, and the message the person receiving is getting immediately after the loss of someone they care about is the amount of money they owe. It screams insensitivity. It screams the idea of you might want to do a right thing. You can do the right thing at the wrong time. So for me, that feels like the wrong time to do the right thing. And very inappropriate. I don't want to be the one to deliver such a message, even if I'm working for a corporation or a big entity. I don't want to be AMCON going to the house of somebody that is bereaved to say, sorry, we were thinking that this house we can still negotiate and get it paid for, but since the person has died, I'm so sorry, you have to leave the house. No, nobody wants to be in that position. And many people in Nigeria have found themselves there. Police officers have their families lose their lives on their job, and they hear stories that their families are taken out of the house when it happens. We must find the right way to deal with it, preferably after a grace period of like maybe 6 weeks or 3 months, and say, okay, we've given you the past 3 months for you to go through the mourning process, and then we are informing you of what has happened. I don't want to
forget this angle, this thought, because on this table we always talk about systems. On this table we talk about the fact that one of the things Nigeria lacks is a system that actually functions. Now, in this part of the world, if you are the bearer of that information, you are the bank worker, you say, the man just died. Your Nigerian sense will reverse your legs back to the bank. Ogao, maybe it's not a good time. Let us wait, because you just be very empathetic. But if you're in a system in a different country that actually works, you have nothing, you don't care about what's happened, who died, who not died. Your own job is to deliver this message. And it's your job, if you don't respond in 7 days, we're closing down this house. You know, that's a system that will function. So again, when you're talking, I'm talking about, we always talk about systems in our country. So how do we infuse our Africanness or our cultural sensibilities to things like this that we can pack that for a second? But let me come to you, Chika. What are your thoughts on this issue? And then
This is a very tricky one. You know, death is something that is very touchy. It's something that impacts everyone, regardless of strata or walk of life. But just as you have said, and this is the truth of the matter, this conversation can be very contextual. And it is contextual because we are Nigerians. You know, regardless of how much systems we want, we are first Nigerians. And so when we're trying to employ and deploy systems, we will take and deploy systems that work for us based on cultural context. We cannot lose our essence of who we are as a people. And so while I get the fact that, for instance, that man, the deceased, might have had a direct debit that was actually mandated on his account to say, on this day, this amount will be deducted. For instance, just to give a case scenario. So are you saying because by chance the man died on that day, the direct debit which had been automated would not happen? We know that would have happened, and no apologies to anyone. But on the flip side as well, I hear what Atokpa is saying. The laundromat business, it's a small business, you know, and the way the story has it, the owner of the business sent the young man to go pick up the money. The young man came back to him and said, look, the person will get this cloth, you don't die. You say, hey, go and collect my money now. You know, so it can come off as a bit. I'm not saying they were family members or best of friends or they had a long-term standing working relationship. It could very well be like it was a very official relationship that they had. I mean, the deceased and the laundromat service provider. But then again, also, the woman made the argument for the fact that, okay, this service was not rendered to me personally. It was rendered to a family member. I probably had no idea that this contractual arrangement existed between you both. So, because she said, go to the morgue, go and collect your money. So these are
let me put this scenario out there. Let's imagine I'm the laundromat owner, and my children just sent back home because I couldn't pay school fees. I'm having issues with revenue. People are owing me money. My kids are home crying. I couldn't give them food. And I know that, okay, today, this amount of money should come so you can take this money to school. So I have my own needs. Now I send my staff, oh yeah, who are those owing me? Where are they at? This Lagbaja is saying, that list, yeah, go and get my money. And then I come back and say, oh, somebody passed. No, I'm trying to put a context
to it. What you just said, I wanted to just go for it to the fact that, one appointment all of us have is that we're going to die. Yes. So we must, as in the context of Nigeria.
I understand. I'm trying to put a scenario of, we are seeing it from the woman's perspective where my husband just died. If you look at it from the perspective of the woman, the owner of the laundromat, he too has a need that these children are not dead, though. They are alive, but they are starving. They've been sent out of school. He also has a need. So where do we draw the lines? So let me come to you. What are your thoughts?
For this angle, because I used to, overthink the prophetic teaching that, you must clear the death of the dead person. But with this example you're giving, imagine that at the time you were in need, I had taken some compromise of my own need to give you money, hoping that you pay it off later. And then maybe you intended not to, or you intended to, anyhow, but you died with this debt. You know the helplessness I'll be in, knowing I can never recover my money, and that need that I had to compromise is still there. I might never really be pleased with you. Babala Olu said something funnily one day when he fainted, and I was like, my shake for me, and you wrong lewe. Do you understand? I was like, can you say such a thing that your daughter will blame me that you didn't finish training her? And then, just, in retrospect now, I'm thinking of this, because when I saw the video, my first response to the woman was, be grateful that somebody told you, because of the Islamic teaching, that a dead Muslim will not smell paradise and will be tried in the grave if he is indebted. So we are enjoined as Muslims to quickly clear the debt. And you see them at the burial. In fact, it was funny because when I commented, people started coming and say, in my religion too, in Christianity too, it is announced once and we bury quick. So it is announced immediately before the inheritance is given to deduct debt. Before anything is called the property of the real property of the dead person, debt deductions must happen.
So what if they don't have it?
No, then the property itself, whatever they took the loan to fund, must will be formed. And usually, family members are even made to donate if for instance, it is taken for just a lifestyle thing. The person did not really invest it. It's not a bank loan or anything. those of you that are his children are advised to now raise the money amongst yourself to, if you love him, for him to ascend the next life, because we believe in the afterlife. So that's the way it is taught. It's not something you rationalize. So when I saw the woman saying, go to the dead, I was like, no, you never loved this person. Okay, now, please play it backwards. My dad died. We were asking. Nobody came forward. And I saw him, because he's a scholar, he listed and put money in compartments for everybody he had promised. So he had promised a girl, I would fund your going back to your family in Ghana. The money was in an envelope, listed. The one, everybody listed. I was the one who came into his room and met everything listed like that. And the one he wanted to use to travel, BTA for traveling, everything listed, named and kept. And so we did not have any problem. But we were sitting at the house, 3 weeks passed, not up to 3 weeks. And a stranger walks in. First person walks in, I was like, I heard Baba died though. Just totally strange to everybody in the house. But because the gate was wide open, people were visiting. He just sat in the parlor there for hours, looking at us strangely. He didn't say anything. Then another person came. He came with another student of my dad, and he says, Baba used to fund my businesses, so he gives me money to fund my businesses. And whenever I bring it back, we say, how's your business doing? If I say it's not doing well, we say, go back and reinvest. And the man was saying, I'm owing him because he never collected his money. And we're all looking at ourselves. My mother said, he would have waived it, waive it. Okay, if that person had come with a big money and we wanted to give us, I would say he should go, Abi. So it's the same thing. If he comes in and says Baba owes him, immediately, even before, because of the teaching, we're all looking, what do you have? Keep in case, just in case. You have to raise the money.
So when my mom died, I mean, I didn't know that a man who's a Muslim, and I don't want to bring any religious connotations to this conversation because everybody's different. But I know somebody, in fact, so he hasn't paid the debt, but he thought it was right for me to know. Their mother gave me this amount of money. Yes. I don't have the money yet, but I will pay it whenever. So today it hasn't been paid though, but I am aware. He has disclosed to me that this is the amount of money that I'm owing your mother for this. So I get that angle, but the conversation I'd like us to understand is that why was this woman feeling like she was being entitled?
I don't agree with the woman's response at all. Okay. I do not believe that you know someone is owing money, because if you, especially in marriage, but even beyond marriage, family, you get the benefits when it is good. You will lick it together. If it is blood, you will take it together too.
That sense of oneness.
When the good comes, we all enjoy the largesse. Exactly. When it is bad, we take it together because we are one family.
What are you saying?
I am of the opinion that if you owe money, you pay the money. I don't like the fact that it is immediately after the person's death, without regard for the soul of the deceased, that the debt is being asked for. That's my own opinion from what I saw, that, the person came back, you heard the person, he said, go back and collect the money.
I think it was 3 days after.
And you went to request for money. They said this person has died.
Is there a timeline, you think?
I feel like the response would have been back, we come back and commiserate with you after we have gone through the burial. Kindly, it is noted. Okay. The responsible thing is for the woman to say, I'm so sorry, we're grieving right now. After we are done with this burial, we will pay.
I disagree.
But wait, I feel the conversation should not be that, go and ask the dead person. Okay. It should not be that at all. It is inappropriate to do that. Own up the fact that your bereaved person, I mean, the person who you've lost, deceased person is owing a debt, and you that you are left alive will continue the legacy of that person in a positive way, not to disrespect the legacy of that person by saying they should go and ask the dead body for the money. Very inappropriate. And I spoke about this thing about when my mother-in-law died last year. I did my Money Monday and broke down preparing for the unforeseen. Yes. That putting your affairs in order is not because you're preparing to die. It's because you want to ensure that the people you are leaving behind will have peace of mind. So when you know, whatever your age, once you are above 40, even if you're in your 30s, once you have property, have order of this is what I have, this is what I'm owing, these are the people I'm owing money to. Have it written. It is organization. It will bring peace to those you have left behind. Having life insurance will bring peace to those you have left behind, because you might have debts that will show up and you don't have funds in your account to take care of it. Your life insurance can then support those you have left behind to be able to pay off all those things. So it's important that we take care of.
I wanted to disagree on, the timing. Because that was what your objections were. So you agree that she should not feel entitled, but the timing. Now, in grief, whatever you delay, you know, might just be continuously delayed. If, for instance, because the young boy scent came with his clothes. So it's like somebody delivering something and this, let's even say the accident just happened immediately and somebody brought goods that he had ordered to the house. Is his clothes, they have been washed and you keep it. Is his property. It's something you will give to his children. What you do is to take away any impediment to, you know, to properly passing over.
Other family members.
It doesn't matter.
No, Nima. It's also a valid one.
We're looking at the simple ones because I love the fact that you mentioned it's not a bank loan when your first... because those are the complicated things. Those are the things that they have to come in to show you evidence of. Now, the person comes in with the evidence that, we are finished washing. You don't die, you don't die. You don't die. You have told him the person is dead, but you come and take. The person is the one with the discretion to say, I let it go.
No, of course, that's not...
You understand? It is not your... I think it takes a level of understanding to know that it's not in your grief that you blame the person coming with that information.
But we know that even grief in itself has stages, right?
Yeah,
so when something terrible and unexpected happens, grief has stages.
You should allow
there's
the
the part of the rude awakening and the shock. It's like 5 stages. I can't... So, yes, so my point is, while it is true that sometimes you can make your life easier by dealing with something small really quickly and just say, oh yeah, go, let me focus on what is at hand. But also, people react to grief differently. Some people are not even in the mental space to even deal with something like that. What I would also like to say is the fact that, you know, when all is said and done, I'm only accountable or responsible for my own actions. So how many times have we seen where, you know, we cannot control the actions of what people do? Sometimes our family members let us down in gravest of ways. I really have no control over that. The only thing I can do is control my own actions. And so the woman in this context can control her actions by saying, okay, do I have the money now? If I do, let me give it to him and let him go so I can focus on money my husband and just make her life easy. I'm just saying. I mean, because the deed has been done, she cannot undo what the laundromat person has done. What she can now do going forward is how she reacts and handles it. So
let me go on a short break. When we come back, we'll open our phone lines for our callers to call in. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Thanks for staying with us. We're still discussing this matter concerning the woman who was mourning and the dry cleaner came to her. And I think Chika was saying something earlier about the timing, that when people are grieving, you don't know their state of mind. I'm going back to this timing issue. Is it a cultural thing? Because I remember that when my mother was mourning, it was while she was mourning, we're all over in the house, Daddy just died. And then my family, my dad's family, brought in our last born. He says, this is Alao's dad, you know, because now you now talk about the mental health of the mourner or the chief mourner. Is she ready to accept a new child? Saying that her husband had a child, though, there's an away macho, and this is the person, you know, that thing happens, we see it.
All the time.
So the culture is that, is it culturally permissible, therefore, for us to, the earlier we do this thing, we wait for the man to die, and I say...
Sometimes they like to do it like that because that shock will prevent her real reaction. Yes, people do it because when, especially even at the burial place where you're pouring sand, they'll say, the person must... We've seen plenty of movies where it is at the pouring sand that somebody else will not come and pour sand. You're wondering, who is this person pouring sand? They say, his guys is from outside. They have to pour sand too. Because they know there's shock in that moment, there is less drama that is likely to happen. By the time they would come back home, things can be dealt with.
So the woman's done there. Yes. There are rights that you talked about a child. No, it's not a hand. It's not about the shock. It's not about the shock.
It's about you're splitting.
Yes. In whatever you're doing at that moment, the reality is that he's dead, and all people have entitled to him that have a right to him must also exercise the same rights. It's not that time they will say Jeko Sukunto because of what, and the other person would have missed his right to his father's burial. Agreed. So it's the same thing when a person, there's a preparation for eventualities that, you know, I have because of my faith. And it is preach. But I've seen Muslims fail at it, saying, you're supposed to not trust in the next second because it is not known.
Yes.
You're supposed to be prepared that no matter what, this and this and this are what you must do. So even in grief, the way I grieved was, okay, he's dead. I wanted to cry. I went somewhere, I started crying. I was like, no, it's not time to cry. Right. Where's the best grave place? Where is this? Where is that? You arrange the things that must be arranged.
That's who you are. There are other people that are not like you.
No.
There are other people that are not like you, Nima, and we must give room.
I just said it's a
Nima,
training. And I said I've seen Muslims fail at it.
They did not. When you say they fail at it, it sounds like you are judging that person for the inability to manage the situation the way you were able to manage it. Some people can manage shock. I have friends around me that when things happen, they just be like they cannot even move. I'm the one saying, that's electricity, that's shut off the electricity. Cleaning up this, I can react in the face of shock. Some can't, which is why I noted down that may we have the right people around us when we are in a moment of shock. Because in most cases, Mariah shared a story of how when something happened, it's shock. When somebody goes, it is shock. Some people are crying, some are wailing, some are in shock, some are like, they can't even think. You said somebody came in and said, where's mommy's jewelry?
The first thing.
And that person did what? Said, let's pack mommy's jewelry away before it gets stolen. Because even you, in all your organization, could not think of it. We need the right people around us. May God give us the gift of the right people. They can be your family members, they can be your siblings, but that moment, that woman shouldn't have to deal with the laundromat. The moment that thing happened, and somebody is coming to meet her for money, somebody around her should have come to say, that's why we don't mourn alone. So that you are not dealing with the issues alone. Somebody else around you will say, let me stand in gap for you. This laundryman has come, I'll pay for it.
Okay, let me take
she doesn't have to deal with that issue in that moment.
Has been holding for a while. Good morning, Garuba, you're live.
All right, good morning, Mariah.
Good morning.
Good morning, Nima and Sophie and the other lady there. You guys are doing a fantastic job. I don't know. My take in this issue is that I don't know from where I came from, and my take, I'm a Muslim, I'm from North. We know that right from your childhood, they will tell you that if you borrow money from someone, if you died, the family or the grief, whoever, they have to pay that money before you take it to the grave. That's fact, that's Islam, and that's culture in the North. We have that faith, that belief. You will not borrow money from someone expecting not to come and ask after you died. And the statement that that woman made, it is respectful to the dead. She could have talked to that boy politely, maybe there in on discretion. He said, Madam, I forgive that man. Because there's way that you can address someone that you feel like, okay, that you find solace in what you say to him. You can say, I forgive that money. That's nature. But the way she talked, she spoke to that man, honestly, it's totally wrong. And we know that if you borrow 1 naira, honestly, if you cannot be able to pay, definitely your family will pay it. Even if the wife of the man is dead, I don't know, as I said, from where I come from, she knows that the moment he died, okay, they will start announcing it. Is there anybody that is owing? We announce it publicly before they take him to the grave. If there's any issue, come forward. Even if you don't have money or you don't have any property, they can sell and pay that money.
Thank you very much, Garba.
I'd like to highlight 2 things. First, while it is important to actually begin to carry this narrative of being actively prepared, not just for death, but for eventualities, I like that angle that we have actually touched on, and that's something we must preach, because to a very large extent, there's still a small section of our people who feel that you are bringing negativity on when you prepare for something negative. It's like, more like you are jinxing your
negatives and eventually.
Yes, but still, it's something no one likes. So some people feel like the minute I write my will, it's almost like I've already put my death out there. So it's important that we talk about preparedness on the one hand. But on the other hand, when we talk about when disaster act or something, happens at that point in time, we must know that this might be one of the reasons why people walk about with unresolved traumas. Because it would be really, really, I think, retrogressive for us to dictate how people should react when something happens. Just like Tokpe said, there's some people who, when something happens, they're up and go. When my mom died, I took her to the morgue myself. My elder brother was weeping. This is a man. I was 16, he was 18. He was weeping. I actually was the one who was with my mom when my mom died. And the minute he saw that my mom wasn't breathing anymore, he started to wail. I was the one who, from the things I had seen on movies, put cotton wool in her nose, called an uncle came, we literally carried her in a bus to the morgue. My brother was transfixed, like he couldn't do anything. Devastated. And so it's important that we make room for people and their fragilities and understand that different people would react, and we should see, the healing process is something that is really fragile too, that we must not tamper with. So, yeah, absolutely. So it's important that we say, okay, when tragedy happens, if that preparedness hasn't happened beforehand, then let's let people really heal at their pace and time.
I was going to respond to talk about that. Not all shocks are death. Certain things are different, and, you know, things happen and they vary. So you can have an accident right now, you're confused, somebody steps in. But you see, death is something, well, raising again, that is preached to be expected. You know, okay, this one means that the person cannot ever repair anything that they've done wrong. What do you do? It's preached, but people try to say, "Kosikulojumi." A powder, if you look at my face, is powder. People don't expect death. So when you take it far, you're going to will. The fates are telling you that you cannot die.
It's not your portion.
It's not your portion. So you don't prepare.
Exactly.
Your next of kin doesn't know what a next of kin role is. The role of a next of kin is to ensure that, you know, those things are taken care of. Now, even in the Islam that we talk about, people step in. My brother-in-laws, I always say, amazing guys. They came in, the coffin, the cloth, everything that we needed to do, they bought. What I was arranging was different. We were just, you know, delegating, taking duties that we knew we had to take because it's a preach. Now, I see Muslims when something happens, the person will now be doing like this. You'll be calling uncle on the phone, calling one. I told my uncles on the phone, this is how my father wanted to be buried. This is what he kept. And my head of family then, in the 90s, said, he's always said this.
Because he prepared.
Because he prepared. And he talks about it with his kids. How often do we tell our kids what to do and our spouses? Now, and it's important to share your debts with your loved ones. Because when you get money, now then you take care of, except you're not taking care of them, you tell them, this and this are the things, so that somebody doesn't become entitled. In the case somebody asks the question that, what if the person didn't leave the money? You are going to go to the creditor now as a person that he died penniless. I don't know how he invested his money, but we as a family cannot afford. If the person is magnanimous to say, I waived the debt, that person has helped your family. He could also have waived it. It's sadaka. If the person says, I do not waive it, you go find them.
Okay, let me take this call.
It, and you pay it, and you're supposed to raise it through the Muslim community as well.
Thanks for calling, Moji. You're live.
Yeah, good morning.
Good morning.
And I'm a first-time caller.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Well, I'm a widow too, and I saw that post. Like you said, is that we react to grief. I won't want to blame that woman because, you know, maybe when they came to her, she wasn't even expecting her husband was going to die at that time. And that was what prompted that response. When my husband died, we acquired an asset. He was supposed to use that asset to generate income. And he died the following month after acquisition of that asset. And we still had outstanding. We were supposed to pay the outstanding the third month, which was a month after his death. So those people, are you still with me? Hello? Hello?
We can hear you. Go ahead, please.
Okay, so those people called me and said, oh, madam, sorry about your loss. Are you still going to meet that deadline or we give you time? I wasn't angry because, one, I don't like having debts around me. Not that I had the money, not that we had so much. But I said, okay, I will try and make sure I pay at the deadline date. So, you see, we have ways of grieving and responding to things, especially when the unexpected happens. And I'm coming to something similar to what happened to her. The following week after my husband died, the PSP people came. And usually because we have people around us in the house, some people, they knocked on the gate and people went out and they said, oh, because that time they were doing pay as you go because of people that were owing them. So when they knocked on the door and asked that, oh, they needed, people said, they came to me. I had to attend to them. Even though I was grieving, I came outside and I told them, oh, okay, fine, these are the receipts we paid for this month, and okay, I'll send someone to pay for the month that is coming up. You see, so it all depends on how we grieve. So I won't put a blame on her because, see, it's only somebody that wears the shoes that knows where it pinches. Maybe because of the way she saw the person coming, and you know, in our Nigerian context, to be like, Why will you be coming to ask me for money when you know I just lost my husband? But
thank you, Moji. Thank you, Moji, because you see, it goes back to, and I mean, I'm trying to pick my words very carefully because you're about to say about Sokunka Yakamari, you know, and it's all about how we are as a people. You know, I've always said it before. We need systems in place, and I understand, and I'm not in any way trying to water down the gravity of somebody mourning or the reality of the situation. But the truth is that, based on what Moji just said, a woman who is mourning and somebody brings to her, there's a debt, you have to pay the PSP, you have to pay something, and you're saying because you are grieving, they have no right to come and ask what is owed to them. That's where I want us to blur, not agree to clear that I mean, right. We have to be sensitive to somebody's mourning, but we must also face the reality that the system is being owed. Something has to happen. Something must continue to oil it. So even with that, we shouldn't make them look as if they are being insensitive.
That's why I said it wasn't wrong for the guy to come there to show up. Do you understand? Like the first time he showed up, there wasn't anything wrong with
Was it wrong for her to complain?
It wasn't even wrong for her to complain. Okay. No, it wasn't also wrong. Her reaction of saying, go and ask the dead body for me, I mean, ask the dead person was wrong. How she reacts in the moment of how she's feeling, I'm not going to judge anybody for their reaction because people will react in different ways. Sure. I feel other people around should have a conversation to support her in that moment of weakness because we know people react in different ways. I also believe that, you know, when you said about the woman called about PSP and saying that she stood up to go outside, friends and family gather around. This person has died. Please, if you cannot pack it, you want to leave it behind, we will sort it out later so that we're not interrupting or distorting how she's feeling. I feel that people should be around you to cover up and support you in that time of weakness. Number one. Number two, Nima said something very important. She said it several times, and we cannot end this show without highlighting it. God, you know, they say, may the soul of your father continue to rest in peace, in perfect peace, but we must learn from the experience of her father, which is clarifying in clear terms what he wants long before he died. So the family members knew. Even uncles knew.
Nobody knows you're going to die.
He said it long before. She has said it, she did it for time. She has said it privately, she has said it publicly. That even long before he died, he's always said, don't carry my body to the village. So when Nima had to make a decision family decision that we are going to bury him here, and she was going to have to tell family members, he's not coming to the village, they said, he has told us, he's not, don't bring me to the village. We should put our affairs in order. It is not preparing to die. I told my mom, Mommy, all your account number, write it into your jotter. Account number, banks where you have account, password. I say, because I am not going to, I don't know. And if anything happens to, when your unexpected happens, and you pass, the money will be there.
Let me ask you.
I will not go and be looking for which account, and they will chop it. So, in telling her, I've not told my daddy, who is older, because our relationship is not, we are dear, but I did not know how to say it. But for my mom, I had to tell her that, Mommy, make the list and put your password and your PIN, because I don't know it.
Let me ask you this question, because maybe this conversation is easy, because we're talking about his spouse. If a woman loses her child, her only child, for example, and then you walk your 2 legs to her house and say, oh, the Drycleaner money that you're owing me, you've not paid it. And you found that, okay, people are mourning, and you're wondering what happened. Oh, her child died. Now, again, so I don't want to direct the question to you, to Nima, because in that kind of situation, is it right? Is it right for the woman to say, oh, I do the Drycleaner to say, no, not even the dead body. You are the mourner. I mean, the woman that lost her child is the mourner. Is it still right for the Drycleaner to come and ask a woman who is mourning her child?
You know, let's now remove our religions, you know, because they're mostly foreign, and bring African tradition into context. 3 weeks ago, I got a call of domestic violence, and a man beat his wife, used knife to threaten her, and she ran out of the house. She called me. She needed free legal advice. In fact, a friend who I respected called me on her behalf. Her dad was calling. She was calling. And I said, okay, let's incident it from the DSVA point of view. She said, no, he's now attempting to sell the house and he wants to run away. So she ran out of the house. She left him. We were trying to incident it. In the space of 24 hours, till date, I fear God, because what I received was, within 24 hours, 48, I sent a message, I did not hear from you. What is the feedback? I said, he died.
Jesus.
And I said, because I have seen death. When the person is about to die, they behave some kind of way. They say, he's seeing the dead and all of that. He's seeing the angel of death. And I couldn't process it. This is, you know, real life experience. I said, how many minutes? And immediately he died. family members whose child died move
Enter
inside
the
her
house
and
take
make
over
sure
from the wife.
everything. So she has not been able to enter her house because he had used knife to pursue her, and her kids she was grabbing to run out of the house to go to police to incident. She has not been. She said I cannot approach that house. She has not been able to enter her house. Family members have taken over the house. Now their child died. Let me tell you something. They say when person they cry, they see road. If they see clearly, let's stop all these things. If assuming that woman at the time she died, somebody, one relative of the uncle was busy carrying things in the house, she go see him. The one way talk something, she go see him. Yeah, I had someone who's a family friend of mine. A child died while I was quite young. And she remembered to tell her sister who was coming in that because of the fight we had, you came here to mourn me. She was in grief, but she saw her sister, and her sister started crying that it's my child that died too. But at the time she saw her sister, her first reaction was, you are here to mock me.
To be honest, I've
grief, we say yes. But grief doesn't take away.
I'm so sorry.
It doesn't take away.
What about the one we cannot discuss, where people go to the hospital, mother, child die, and husband has to pay hospital bill?
Hospital go collect money.
They will collect.
But sometimes
they give grace.
They give grace.
They give grace for period.
The funny thing is, I have seen some people, their own grief manifests in ways of taking charge.
Efficiency.
Yeah.
Yes. So it still boils down to what we're saying. Yeah. Some people, when something bad happens to them, they cannot move. They're literally transfixed. Some people will do everything and do it well as if nothing happened. And you'll be looking at them like, is everything okay? Only for that grief to resurface at some point in their lives later. So I honestly feel like this conversation, it's very nuanced. You know, there are layers to this conversation. But I do agree with the need for systems, for preparedness, and then in the heat of the moment, let us not lose our humanity and empathy in tiny, small ways that we can.
I think that's a perfect way to end this show. Thank you so much, Chika. That's all we can take on today's conversation. I hope that you've learned a few things as we have. Have a great day. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye for now.
Bye.